Sadhguru, namaste. You spoke about the energy, manas, chitta, ahankara and all that. The existence of all these is the basic, that is the body. And the body is the composition of the Panchabhutas. Each one has got his own energies. Would you kindly throw light on those 5 energies which is making us here, speaking, listening to you and all that, please?
So Panchabhutas, or these are called as the Mahabhutas because these are the 5 elements which are the fundamental ingredients with which everything is made. Your body is 5 elements, the world is 5 elements, the whole universe is 5 elements. So when Adiyogi was transmitting this knowing to the 7 sages who are today known as the Saptarishis, they wanted to know what is the nature of this creation? Where does it begin? Where does it end? He was bored with them, you know. Students can bore you, teachers can bore you, but students can bore you. They don't understand that. He was just bored with them. He said, all your great cosmos that you're talking about, how big it is, where it begins, where it ends, I can roll it all up and pack it into a mustard seed. That's efficient packing. Corporate, I think.
Nano.
Then they wouldn't live there, but they said, what is the nature of this universe? By now he was too bored. He didn't want to waste his words. He simply said, just 5. You just have to know 5, that's all. Not 5 million, just 5. Just see with 5 ingredients, how much mischief. Look at the variety that's happened in the universe. The size and the variety and the immensity of what's happened, just with 5. Incredible or not? Out of this 5, these 4 come from 1. The other 4, what you know as… sir, can you tell me? In Kannada, I'm not able to get the names. Anyway, earth, water, fire, air and space. So these 5 elements are in a certain composition in different aspects of life. Let's take life, not inanimate things, even there it is there, but in different lives, it is in different compositions. In you, 72% is water, 12% is earth, 6% is air, 4% is fire, remaining is space. When I say remaining, Vinita is calculating, okay, 6% Akash. No, I said remaining is space. Because we are not talking about physical entities alone, not talking about the physical dimension alone, so 100% is not the quantity. As long as you measure the body, yes. Once you come to Akash, you're not talking about percentages.
Right.
So what you're referring to as Akash, because the word Akash is being loosely used today in common language, the word Akash did not mean sky, it meant the 5th element. Because your eyes cannot see beyond the 5th element. Only in the night you are able to see beyond that. During the day, what you see is just the etheric sphere, and because of the way light plays on ether, it all turns blue in your vision. Otherwise, you're just seeing… like suppose a cloud cover came, you're seeing only the cloud, that is the sky for you on that day. You say a clear sky, no, it is the etheric sky that you're seeing, it's an etheric bubble. Beyond the atmospheric bubble, there's an etheric bubble, light dissipates in a certain way, refracts in a certain way there, because of that, your vision closes there. Only in the night when there is no sunlight, then you are seeing beyond the etheric space. Now, Akash is another dimension of perception and intelligence and existence. So your Akash, your water is here, your fire is here, your air is here, your earth is here, but your Akash is not just here, it's spread. Normally, for a person who is, let's say, physically healthy and reasonably agile and active, For him, his Akash is somewhere between 9 to 18 inches around his body. But if you do a little effort, this bubble can be expanded limitlessly. So, today you're looking for the eye cloud. There's already a cloud, and this cloud can be enlarged. You can make it as large as this planet, you can make it as large as this universe. It is just a question of your willingness, that's all. Your boundaries, or how small your boundaries are question of your unwillingness to transact, isn't it? Let's say your social boundary. How big your social boundary is or how small it is a question of willingness and unwillingness in terms of your social activity. Similarly, existentially, how willing this life has become or how unwilling this life has become. Why would I be unwilling? This is the question. You need to understand this. Because things are packaged one inside the other. Life is made in such a way, what you call as life is also death at the same time. Right now you can say, I'm living, or you can say, I'm dying. Actually you're dying, one day it'll be complete. Yes or no? Whether you call it living or dying, it's the same thing. But we are looking at it as two different things. The moment you look at it as two different things, that's why the mortality process. The moment you look at it as two different things, you will accept one part of it, you will resist another part of it. Once you resist, if you resist death, you will not resist something that called as death, you will only avoid living. Right now, tomorrow morning you start the chant, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. All that will happen is you won't live. Whether you'll die or not, we don't know, but you will not live for sure.
Right.
So because life is inclusive, but intellect is exclusive, always it wants to cut and see what is life, what is death, there is no such thing. They are intermingled, both are happening at the same time. Because of this, Akash, if you are able to perceive your Akash consciously, suddenly your ability to know is just effortless. You can have the luxury of remaining uneducated and still be okay. You can still be okay even if you're uneducated, because everything that's worth knowing about life is here in these five elements. So the most fundamental aspect of the yogic process is called Bhuta Shuddhi. Every yogic practice, whatever you do, is a little extension or little extract from Bhuta Shuddhi, which means cleansing of the elements. If you do enough of this, then you arrive at what is called as Bhuta Siddhi, that means you have some mastery over your elements. If you have mastery over your elements, your body will happen the way you want it, your life will happen the way you want it, your destiny is determined by you. Not only that, even things around you will happen the way you want it. Lives around you will happen the way you want it. Plants will flower out of season, things will happen in ways that you thought not possible. Is this something supernatural? Is this superhuman? No. This is not about being superhuman. This is about realizing being human is super. And the nature of the five elements, what they are, how they function, an enormous amount of study and science and experiential dimensions to it has been done in this land. Unfortunately, we are ignoring all that and trying to handle everything on the chemical level for health and well-being, which is a very, unfortunately, very rudimentary way of handling life. When we see all this whole way of treating human beings with chemicals and stuff has become relevant only because we are overpopulated and too crowded and all this. If you were little more spread out, if you lived in your own land, if you lived in the jungle, you most probably did not get any infectious diseases, okay? Only for infectious diseases, chemical warfare is okay. But for chronic ailments, it's something that happening because you lost fundamental balance. One most fundamental thing is, if one of the elements is not in tune, this will do horrible things to you. So one simple way is, in this culture they taught you, if you have to eat your food, first you bow down to it. You are not saying thank you to any god. Okay, please don't do this. If at all, if you want to thank somebody, thank that poor farmer who doesn't eat what he grows and gives it to you. We are not thanking any gods, we are not looking up and saying thanks for the daily bread, whatever. We are just bowing down to the food because we know how you treat the food, accordingly it behaves within you. Today there is enormous amount of study which shows, for example, water. This water has enormous memory. If I just as much as look at it in a certain way, its molecular composition changes, not the chemical composition, but the molecular composition changes and it behaves differently. Lot of experimentation has happened about this, and today they've come up with something called imploding water, where some of you might have experienced this. Suppose you went to a waterfall and the water that is falling with great force, if you touch the water, it feels silky. Have you ever noticed this? Yes? If it goes down 2 miles and then touch it, it won't feel like that. Only there it feels silky because the water is imploding into itself. Now they've created imploding machines, you can implode the water and you feed this water to your plants. With 10% of irrigation, you can get the same results, simply because the water is imploded. These imploding machines which were made in UK, we are kind of getting them for the local farmers, so that the water is imploded. With minimal water you can grow the same crops, because just changing the molecular composition changes so much. We have always known this. This is why do you think people go to a temple and they're dying for the 2 drops of water? Because the water is supposed to have the memory of the divine, supposed to be in touch with the deity, and there is supposed to be memory, and you take it and it's supposed to work. If this whole science is managed properly, but today we don't know how it is in most of the places, but the possibility of changing how the water behaves within you just by treating it differently. Before drinking, just bow down to the water, don't see it as a commodity, it's not a commodity. It is life-making ingredient. This is more important than your mother, father, your children, anybody, isn't it so? What is in this vessel right now? Please tell me, I want you to hear that.
Yes.
Yes, because if you don't drink it for 1 day, you will not want anybody. You want only this. No, we're talking about the real thing. So the 5 elements, if you learn to handle them properly, simple thing, whatever, the earth that you walk upon, air that you breathe, water that you drink, food that you eat, and the sky. 3 times a day, consciously, just put your hands together for these things. These are the life-making ingredients. Your life is made out of this. Just approach it differently. You will see your health situation, your sense of well-being, your stability, everything will be greatly enhanced. If you want to do proper practice of Bhuta Shuddhi, please come, we have elaborate systems of Bhuta Shuddhi. Probably nowhere else in the world right now these kind of systems are offered, but they will need a certain amount of preparation and absolute dedication to pursue them.